Welcome to a brand new episode of the Jampack Report today for April the 28th of 2020. Of course, my name is Samuel Adams, and this is a daily gaming news podcast meant to bring you the hottest gaming news you need to know from around the industry. Hosted on YouTube and podcast services around the world 5 days a week, it is your one-stop shop for all of the hottest gaming news that you need to know. And today we are recapping the Stadia event. Of course, today, April 28th, we had a giant Google Stadia Connect, which unveiled what is going to be coming to the platform over the course of the next few months. And there were some pretty significant announcements. Does it actually stack up as compared to the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One now, or even the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X? We will dive into it in just a moment. On top of that, we have news about Faze Clan launching a new content studio, Project xCloud getting a bit more spread in the world, Nintendo making some changes. We're getting some Sean Connery in there, some changes to the Nintendo eShops around the world, and more. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into today's top gaming news. First off, as I said, we are beginning with a gradual breakdown of what was announced during today's Stadia Connect. And first and foremost, Electronic Arts has started a partnership with Google to bring games like Madden, FIFA, and Star Wars to Stadia. Electronic Arts is bringing its games to Google Stadia. The publisher will release at least 5 games, including this year's Madden NFL and FIFA Sports Simulations and 2019 Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order on Stadia in 2020 and beyond. Jedi Fallen Order will come to Google Stadia this fall, while Madden and FIFA are slated for sometime this winter. Google and EA did not announce what the other 2 games coming to Stadia beyond 2020 would be, but Phil Harrison, Vice President and General Manager at Google, promised more details on EA's plans during a Stadia Connect video presentation. Electronic Arts joins publishers like 2K, Bethesda Softworks, Rockstar Games, Square Enix, and Ubisoft, which have committed to bring past and future games to the Stadia platform. Google announced earlier this month that the standard version of Stadia, which can be accessed by anyone with a Gmail address in the platform's 14 launch territories, is now freely available and includes 2 free months of Stadia Pro. The standard version of Stadia is free, but users need to purchase the games they want to keep. On top of that, there was a surprise announcement of PUBG launching on Google Stadia with a new Pioneer Edition. During its latest Stadia Connect, Google announced 11 more games coming to its cloud-based game streaming service, including several games scheduled to arrive over the next month, like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds Pioneer Edition. This special edition of PUBG is actually available for Google Stadia right now. The base version of PUBG costs $30, while this new Pioneer Edition is available for $40 USD. The higher price tag includes the base game, the Survivor Pass Cold Front, and Google Stadia exclusive skins. Cold Front is the current battle pass for PUBG, offering a new prize pack track to go at the start of Season 7, which includes the return of snow-covered Vikendi. PUBG is one of several high-profile games on the way to the service, with the likes of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order as well as the Madden and FIFA series also on the way. In addition to that, there were more games announced to be coming to Google Stadia, including, of course, Doom Eternal, which was promised back in November, then it got delayed. Now it is officially launching today, after being out on PlayStation and Xbox for about a month's time. On top of that, Octopath Traveler is going to be coming to Google Stadia. Of course, it released in 2019, but it is now available on Google's streaming platform. Additionally, Rock of Ages 3, of course, originally announced at Gamescom to be coming to the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, the Switch, and the PC, in addition to Stadia, is now going to be launching, of course, sometime in June across all of these platforms. On top of that, the free Stadia Pro games for May were announced, including SteamWorld Heist, the Turing Test, and Zombie Army 4 Dead War. Then, first on Stadia comes Crata. In lieu of exclusives for this Connect, Stadia took to flaunting new titles, which will launch on the platform first. The first of these is Crata, a so-called collaborative game creation and publishing platform. In shorter and easier to understand terms, it's Stadia's answer to PlayStation 4's Dreams, albeit with the function that allows players to make their own designs with others as a group effort. And of course, you can check out the trailer if you would like. Then first on Stadia also comes Wavebreak, Ember. Additionally, there is a Get Packed game coming out that is a lot like Moving Out, a game that launched this week. And of course, as we said, PUBG will be launching on Stadia as well. So that's kind of a high-level overview of everything that was announced to be happening on the Stadia platform. And to be fair, in their defense, there is a lot of stuff here to break down. Specifically, I think one thing that's worth really highlighting is this new partnership with Electronic Arts. Of course, to be able to have games like Madden and FIFA included in your roster is certainly impressive. And then for those that are more akin to the core gaming experience, you can have games like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Now, additionally, I think the free games for May are certainly better than Xbox Live games with Gold's offering, so that definitely adds a lot of value to the Stadia platform. But additionally, bringing PUBG to the platform is probably going to win some people over. And it's interesting because not only are these games available, they require no downloads and really no waiting. You log in with a Gmail account and you can dive right in, especially considering right now there is a free 2-month trial of Stadia Pro. So a lot of people, regardless of whether you're running on a high-end gaming PC or a low-end laptop, can simply dive in and play these games. It is Stadia how it was intended to be played. However, I do want to make one thing very clear. This is still, even in its current state, too little too late, because if you look at the announcements that were made, you have next year's FIFA and Madden games coming out on Google Stadia. On top of that, you have Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, a fantastic game from 2019, coming out nearly a whole year later, and if the next generation console lineup continues as planned, it's going to be launching on Stadia at the same time you are going to be seeing the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X hitting store shelves, and that's largely unacceptable. It's just something that isn't going to have that same appeal as it did last year. Now, if Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order had launched on Google Stadia at the same time as competing platforms, it would definitely have had a chance, but now it seems like it's going to be more of an afterthought than anything else. In terms of the additional games that are coming as exclusives or even timed exclusives, the biggest problem that Stadia is going to face is developing a recognizable name for itself as a location for one specific game, or a small handful of specific games. For instance, whenever you think about Xbox, you think about Forza, Gears of War, Halo, these giant, groundbreaking, innovative experiences that have been had over the course of the past 10 years. Then you look at PlayStation, where you have Uncharted, God of War, The Last of Us, Gran Turismo, so many big name games coming out of the PlayStation brand. Of course, a brand that is known primarily for its narrative storytelling in today's day and age. But when you think about Stadia, you think about nothing. And when you look at the games that are coming as timed exclusives, you see stuff like Kratos, which I have no desire to play. On top of that, Wavebreak looks cool, but it's not really going to be one of those games that really stands out in my mind when I think about what was defining for the industry in terms of Google Stadia. Then you have Ember, which is essentially Overcooked but with firefighters, and Get Packed, a similar kind of situation. It's just not really my cup of tea, and I think a lot of these games probably are easily overlooked, or if you do want to play them, you can wait until they're out on the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One. The main takeaway from the Google Stadia Connect for April 28th is that it's on the right track, and I think they are doing as well as they can with the current situation. But still, you have to speed up this time frame if you want to get people interested. Few people are going to want to play Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order as a big name game on your platform when it launches later on this fall. Whether it be September, October, or November, it's still nearly a year after its release. But then you have games like Madden and FIFA that win people back. Still, it's struggling to keep up with the competition, and I would venture to say it's probably not going to be doing that well. But if you did want to dive in, of course, it's available in a variety of countries, and Stadia Pro members get access to a plethora of games, both new-ish and old, so you can dive in and test it out at the very least, because you do get 2 free months of Stadia Pro, and if you are already a subscriber, that 2 months gets added onto the back end of your subscription, so you don't have to pay at the end of your sub. However, competing, of course, that was a horrible way to use the English language. Competing with Google Stadia is Xbox's Project xCloud, and of course it is going to start rolling out to testers in Western Europe, conveniently announced directly after the Google Stadia Connect. Project xCloud is Microsoft's upcoming video game streaming service, taking on Stadia and PlayStation Now. The service is currently in beta and is now rolling out to testers in a new wave across Western Europe. As previously announced, Microsoft's nascent game streaming service, Project xCloud, is finally expanding to testers across Western Europe. As of writing, we have verified that testers in France and Germany are now able to access Project xCloud Xbox game streaming alongside regular console-to-phone game streaming. The full list of countries that are supposedly included in this wave are as follows: Belgium, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Ireland, Italy, Netherlands, Norway, Spain, and Sweden. In our preliminary testing of the service in Germany, we found that it works incredibly well with minimal lag. It actually feels somehow better than streaming directly from a console on my home network. That said, the initial load speed is still slow, taking up anywhere to a minute or more to spin up a server for you to load the game on. Future server upgrades should rectify this as Microsoft moves away from the mechanical HDDs in the old Xbox consoles used in these server racks to the NVMe drives found in the next-gen Xbox Series X. While it is encouraging that xCloud continues to roll out, there is still no information about the pricing, launch libraries, and general availability. Project xCloud is slated for launch sometime in 2020, but it is unknown if the global pandemic may impact timelines. So have you had a chance to try out xCloud yet? I indeed have, and it is pretty impressive. Of course, I got into a wave of it earlier this year, and it runs much better than you would think that it would. I'm still a little bit wary of the streaming services as a whole, but I think they're on the right track. I think there is a lot of potential. Do I think it is going to be the baseline expectation for how people experience their games? No. I don't think it will ever really hit that mark. However, in a world where Stadia and PlayStation Now and Project xCloud are beginning to get more and more of the market share, I do believe that Xbox and PlayStation, much in the same way that you see the console lineup versus Stadia, are going to be coming out on top here, mainly because of the name recognition, but specifically in terms of Microsoft, I think their back end is much stronger than the PlayStation Now or even the Google back end, because Microsoft has so much experience with that cloud computing, of course, having had many services that take advantage of that technology for many, many years. Now, Sony has, of course, purchased an external platform to host the PlayStation Now services on, in fact, rebranding that platform entirely and instead calling it PlayStation Now. And then Google has built its own catalog from the ground up, or its own backend from the ground up. And of course, all three are tech giants. So I would expect the experience to be pretty comparable in the coming years. However, moving out of the tech and into the entertainment, Faze Clan has launched a new studio for original film and TV projects. Faze Clan is expanding beyond platforms like Twitch and YouTube. Today, the esports and lifestyle company announced the launch of Faze Studios alongside producer Michael Sugar's Sugar23 platform, with the goal of producing original film and TV projects. No specific shows or movies were announced, but Faze says the original content will align with Faze Clan's brand ethos as a powerful lifestyle and cultural driver. Faze is best known as an esports and content brand filled with some of the most popular YouTube stars and professional gamers around, while also making a name in the streetwear space with limited edition drops. More recently, Faze has expanded in more mainstream directions. That includes the launch of a Quibi reality show, partnering with soccer powerhouse Manchester City, and signing hip-hop stars like Lil Yachty. When rapper Offset invested in Faze last year, he told The Verge it was because the actual players, they were like rock stars. Sugar, meanwhile, is best known for producing shows like Netflix's 13 Reasons Why and Dickinson on Apple TV+. Quote, "I've always been drawn to the gaming world because of the way it brings people together even from isolation," Sugar said in a statement. Faze Clan fills a unique void in the content world, and with their immense reach and captive audience, they have grown into ambassadors of culture and the voice of a generation. Really neat stuff. Okay, I'm not a big Faze guy. I'm not really into esports or the streaming clans. That's all well and good. If you want to do that, you go for it. More power to you. I just don't personally partake. But I hugely admire the entire team behind Faze for the way that they have elevated everything they have done in the past, and the same can be said for 100 Thieves and other organizations like it. I really admire where esports has come. I really admire where all these clans have elevated what they bring to the table. When you look back, you think of Faze, and I think about the early days of Call of Duty, trick shots, and I remember watching Faze adapt vlogs in high school. And now, as the years have gone on, you see this elevation going into more professional content creation, and that's how it's supposed to be. as the teenagers that were originally creating these clans grew up, so does their content, so do their visions, so do their initiatives, and you begin to see more of an adoption for movies and TV shows and getting bigger and bigger as time goes on, and that really is something that I think is admirable. It's good to see people push themselves to be more than they have ever been in the past, and I definitely want to give them a round of applause. So congrats to the team at Faze. You guys are doing some good work over there. However, unfortunate news, Nintendo is going to close 3DS and Wii U eShops in 42 countries. A recent announcement from Nintendo support has confirmed the imminent closure of a limited Nintendo eShop for the 3DS and Wii U systems across a whopping 42 countries. The statement originally appeared on the official Nintendo support page for the Americas. As of July 31st, 2020, the limited eShops for the Nintendo 3DS and Wii U systems that have facilitated game code redemption in recent years will be completely closed in 42 countries across Latin America and the Caribbean. According to the statement, quote, users in the affected regions will no longer be able to access the eShops to redeem a download code, re-download software, or update software, so we encourage users to take any such actions before the closure date. Also, any software that requires the limited Nintendo eShops to operate may cease to function, it continues. The statement also includes an addendum noting that Mexico and Brazil will be unaffected by the closure. Nintendo has offered a brief guide on what to do if you reside in an affected region, asking that players take action before the end of July. The recommended precautions include re-downloading any previously downloaded software, checking the eShop for any updates available for already purchased software, and redeeming any download codes that have yet to be redeemed. Quote, we encourage anyone with unredeemed codes to redeem them before the limited Nintendo eShops close on July 31st, 2020, the statement notes. After that, it will not be possible to redeem any codes. The given reasoning behind the closure is mostly bureaucratic jargon, with the facts section devoted to why this closure is taking place, simply reading, we constantly reevaluate our business and make decisions based on a variety of factors, and the section on future plans being unanswered with, quote, we have nothing to announce on this topic. Mexico and Brazil are unaffected due to the fact that full eShops are available in these countries, and the full list of unaffected countries in alphabetical order reads as follows. Do I really have to read this? You better believe it. Grab some popcorn, let's go. Anguilla, Antigua, Barbuda, Argentina, Aruba, Bahamas, Barbados, Belize, Bermuda, Bolivia, British Virgin Islands, Cayman Islands, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Dominica, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, El Salvador, French Guiana, Grenada, Guadalupe, Guatemala, Guyana, oh my gosh, I messed that one up, Guyana, I was so close, Haiti, Honduras, Jamaica, Martinique, what? Martinique? What is that a thing? Montserrat, Netherlands, Antilles, Nicaragua, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Grenadines. There we go. St. Vincent, Grenadines. Is that Suriname? Suriname, Trinidad, Tobago, Turks and Caicos Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, Uruguay, and Venezuela. I want to apologize in advance to anybody residing in any of these countries. I really don't think that it needs to be said. That's just kind of ridiculous. But in related eShop news, players in China have been prohibited from accessing Animal Crossing New Horizons without switching regions. And meanwhile, Wii U title Super Mario 3D World could be coming to Switch alongside the wonderful 101. Okay, that was a lot of countries. Regardless, there you have it. If you reside in any of those countries that I mispronounced, by all means, you should definitely take action and download any titles you want or update any games you might need. But this is just the way of the road, you know. You begin to see the smaller countries phased out of the overall plan, and as time goes on, you begin to realize that Nintendo isn't going to support every service forever. You look back at what Sony has done with past PlayStation stores, you look back at the original Xbox, and it's just one of those things that tends to go away over time. And so if you do want to download anything, I would suggest doing so worldwide, because over the next, I would say, 3 years, you'll probably experience more and more closures as time goes on. There's a little man outside of my window looking directly up at me, and I'm kind of concerned. However, Valorant's ranked mode will go live once its new patch is stable. That could be tomorrow. If you have been fortunate enough to gain access to the Valorant closed beta and you are not ready to really test your mettle against other players, you won't have much longer to avoid it. I tried to fix my mistake. I'm still distracted by the man outside my window. If you have been fortunate enough to gain access to Valorant Closed Beta and you are kicking ass and taking names, you can test your mettle starting very, very soon. Riot announced that the much anticipated ranked mode will go live ASAP. It's taking Valorant's European and North American servers offline for around 5.5 hours Wednesday morning to roll out the 0.49 patch. And once everything is stable, which might not be Wednesday to be clear, Riot will activate the ranked mode. You will need to have played at least 20 unranked games before you can join in. The patch includes a number of bug fixes, including for Phoenix's run-it-back ultimate ability and spike placement, and there are a couple of balance changes for Omen's ultimate, along with some map, observer, UI, and quality of life updates. From tomorrow, for instance, you will be able to leave a custom match for good without any penalties. On the other hand, those who drop out standard matchmaking games before they are complete or to dodge agent selects will not be able to queue for another game for a while. The more often they abandon games, the longer they have to wait to join another. It's a welcome update and could shut down on people ruining matches for everyone else by leaving early. The update is mainly about competitive mode, however, which truly lays the groundwork for Valorant's esports future. Very much so a much requested feature, on top of that a necessary feature, because of the fact that Valorant is such a competitive game, it is such a professional game, that you need to have a way to rank everything. You need to have a way to make sure that everything is able to host a tournament, is able to showcase who is the best of the best, and is able to rise to the top of the leaderboards. That's a huge part of having a competitive experience, and so it's good to see that the ranked section is going to be added sooner rather than later. However, this is kind of the end of an era in a way, this next story, because DayZ creator Bohemia Interactive has closed its development studio in Bratislava, let's go with that. It is not clear how many people have been affected by the closure. GamesIndustry.biz has contacted Bohemia for comment. The studio was responsible for the original work on the popular zombie multiplayer game, which began as a mod for military shooter Arma 2 and eventually spun out into its own title. The closure was announced via Twitter and described as a mutual decision between management and studio leads. It is not clear whether the team was still working on DayZ, but Bohemia has assured that the shutdown will not affect the future development of the game. The company reiterated this in a tweet via the game's official account, which clarified DayZ development is not closed. DayZ will apparently continue to receive updates throughout the year with longer games between them, as laid out in a roadmap published to the game's website back in January. Now, unfortunately, over 40 employees were affected by the closure of the Bratislava studio. Some of these studio leads, Bohemia said, had already formed 9 Rock Games along with several former team members. All remaining employees were offered positions in other studios around the world if they were willing to relocate. The most important thing to say in this matter is that it was a mutual decision between Bohemia Interactive and Bohemia Interactive Slovakia leadership, said a Bohemia Interactive rep. The decision was made at the beginning of this year with the plan to close the studio by the end of March. We had to part ways because it makes sense for everyone. Additionally, Bohemia confirmed that the Bratislava studio had been gradually transitioning off of assisting with DayZ throughout early 2019 and late 2020. I don't believe that's the correct term, but the core development team for the game remained in Prague. I think there was a typo right here. It could be early 2019 and late 2019. I'm not sure what that is supposed to mean. However, it looks like that the DayZ debacle continues. The game is not dead, but the studio behind it, it seems, is beginning to fade out. And so it's good to see that nobody's job was directly impacted if they were willing to relocate. But if they weren't, hopefully some work does come up. Maybe some game development openings are beginning to pop up here and there. But of course, DayZ, iconic in the streaming space, one of those games that really took off in the PC space and remained pretty significant for a number of years, really kind of lighting a fire under the careers of many of today's top streamers, and since kind of declining as Battle Royale took over its spot in survival, and it kind of began to be a bit of a legacy game, if you will. Still popular, don't get me wrong, but not nearly as popular as it was back in the day. But to round off today's show, the Xbox Live Games with Gold for May have been announced with $119.96 in value, and up for grabs is 3,770 gamer score. They aren't that impressive, I'm not going to lie. They include V-Rally 4, Warhammer 40,000, Inquisitor, Martyr, Sensible World of Soccer, and Overlord 2. In V-Rally 4, you can take on the challenges of rallycross, drifts, buggies, and hill climbs in V-Rally 4. Over 50 famous vehicles are available to customize and race in this demanding simulation. You will dominate dangerous roads and hostile conditions if you set off on a spectacular journey across every continent. Let your adrenaline boost your reflexes in this legendary off-road racing game. Warhammer 40,000 Inquisitor Martyr. Play as the Inquisitor, the Imperium's most powerful agent in Warhammer 40,000, Inquisitor Martyr. Across the far-flung corners of the Warhammer universe, impose the Emperor's will as you conduct your investigation across multiple planets. Go solo or team up with 4 friends in visceral combat and purge the chaos lurking behind the walls of the Fortress Monastery Martyr. Sensible World of Soccer. Hit the pitch in the popular old-school title Sensible World of Soccer. Featuring a massive lineup of football clubs from around the world, enjoy a quick game or experience the excitement of managing a full season with a fully immersive tactics editor. This is the classic football game from the 90s reborn. And finally, Overlord 2. Control the powerful and chaotic minion army in their battle versus the glorious Empire in Overlord 2. In this sequel to the critically acclaimed warp fantasy hit, the minions return smarter, deadlier, and funnier than ever before as their wild pack mentality squares up against an organized legion. The game is bigger, badder, and beautifully destructive. So if you have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate or Xbox Live Gold, you can pick up these games, again available throughout the month of May, and of course some of these reaching into halfway through June as well. But overall, cool to see that we are still getting okay games. I guess Warhammer 40,000 is probably going to be the standout here. But as we reported yesterday, although not officially announced, it seems that the May 2020 PlayStation Plus games are going to be Dark Souls Remastered and Dying Light. So, you know, that's kind of the situation right now. Yikes, if that is true. But if you want to dive in, again, these games are free, so why not? And if you already pay for Xbox Live Gold, you might as well add them to your library, even if you aren't planning on playing them right now. But that rounds out today's episode of the Jampack Report. If you enjoyed today's show, drop me a like down below and let me know what you think about everything we discussed today. Are you interested in Stadia after today's Connect? On top of that, which competitor in the streaming space would you rather try? Are you a Google man, a Microsoft person, or a PlayStation fanboy? Let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, you can let me know about anything else you thought about with today's content. But until tomorrow, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon, and peace.